You are watching Luntha television and it's time for news. My name is Helbert Katanda. First, let's have a look at our top stories. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, reminds the faithful of God's boundless mercy. Archbishop urges Catholics to vote wisely in 2025 tripartite elections. Magistrate Court dismisses Gangada's preliminary objections in the Malawi Revenue Authority document forgery case. And in news from elsewhere, Sudan paramilitary declares a rival government 2 years into civil war. We have these and more other stories to stay tuned in. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, has reassured the faithful that no matter how far they have strayed, God's loving arms are always open, waiting to welcome them home. In his prepared preaching for the weekly general audience, as he continues recovery in the Vatican after a hospital stay, Pope Francis shared a heartfelt message of hope and redemption, reflecting on the parable of the prodigal son. The Catholic Church is currently observing the Holy Week. We have the details.
Pope Francis emphasized the boundless mercy of God as exemplified in the parable of the prodigal son. He noted that the gospel offers a message of hope, reminding the faithful that no matter how or where they have gotten lost, God always comes looking for them. This reassurance acted as a powerful reminder of God's unwavering love and desire to reconnect with his children. The Pope also drew valuable lessons from the older son in the parable, who remained with the father but was distant from him. Pope Francis warned that when the faithful stay in a relationship out of obligation rather than love, they risk harboring anger and resentment. However, he emphasized that the father's love is not conditional, and he goes out to meet both sons with open arms without scolding or lecturing. Pope Francis concluded his catechesis by inviting the faithful to reflect on their own lives and ask themselves where they are in this beautiful story. He prayed that God the Father grants the grace to find their way home, to experience the joy of being loved and welcomed back.
Catholics in Malawi have been encouraged to vote wisely in the upcoming general elections on September 16, 2025, which will include presidential, parliamentary, and local government races. Archbishop George Tambala of the Lilongwe Archdiocese was speaking yesterday when he presided over the Chrism Mass at Maula Parish in Lilongwe. Archbishop Tambala highlighted that it is every Catholic's responsibility to desire the best for the nation and to elect leaders who are committed to serving the people.
Maula Cathedral in Lilongwe, Archbishop George Tambala referred Luke 4 verses 16 to 21, which outlines Jesus' mission to bring hope and freedom to the oppressed. He emphasized that priests have a vital responsibility to stand up against injustice and uphold the truth.
Come September, we'll have, first of all, peaceful elections that are also free and fair, and we pray that God will give us a leader. God knows the leader that is going to give us, but all this needs prayer. We cannot just take it for granted that things will work out. We will have to pray so that the violence also does not happen. So all these are things that we are praying for.
His message resonates with the Malawi Conference of Catholic Bishops MCCB pastoral letter titled "Who will Roll Away the Stone for Us?" issued on March 9, 2025. The letter provides guidance for Malawians as they move towards an inclusive, meaningful, and peaceful 2025 general election. Padre Gripava, representing Christians in the Archdiocese of Lilongwe, echoed the Archbishop's call, urging believers to put the nation's interest first and resist being used by politicians inciting violence. He called on the Christians to remain prayerful throughout the campaign and election period.
As the laity, we need to coordinate all Christians from family to small Christian community up to parish level to make sure that we have an intention to pray for this nation for peace, so that we go through the election process peacefully and continue living in peace in this country. Sure, actually we understand that Malawi is a God-fearing nation and most of the people are Christians while others are Muslims. We all go to pray to a certain church in one way or another. So we know that the Catholic Church is one of the big churches in Malawi.
Pastoral leader stresses the importance of electing leaders who uphold social justice, human dignity, and the common good. In line with the Catholic doctrine, it described politics as a noble vocation that requires citizens' active and responsible participation. As the country gears up for the polls, the Malawi Electoral Commission (MEG) has rolled out a nationwide voter education initiative under the theme Promoting Democratic Leadership. Through your vote, the campaign highlights the critical role each citizen plays in shaping Malawi's democratic future. Catholics are urged to engage fully in the electoral process by choosing leaders who are committed to justice, peace, and the well-being of all. For Luntha News, this is Emmanuel Juocha.
Principal Resident Magistrate Court in Lilongwe has trashed all preliminary objections to the charge sheets in the matter where business mogul, come politician and DPP Vice President for the Center, Alfred Gangata, trading as Masters Security Company, is being accused of forgery tax documents in 2018 to meet bidding requirements at Luana. The magistrate Benjamin Chulu has since set 23rd May 2025 for the hearing of the matter, as Malawi Revenue Authority, which is prosecuting the case, indicates that their witnesses were ready to start testifying, as some counts are to be tried within a specific time limit. One of the lawyers representing Gangata, Zwelitin Chipembere, says they will study the ruling and advise on the way forward. Robert Edward reports.
Defense in the matter objected to the particularity of counts 3 and 4 in the charge respectively, which are uttering false documents and completing transactions without taxpayer certificate. Through his lawyers, Sten Chirwa and Zwelitin Chipembere, Gangata further argued on the constitutionality of Section 261 of the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Code and that the case was time-bound. In his ruling, Principal Resident Magistrate sitting in Lilongwe, Benjamin Juru, dismissed all the arguments in the objections and directed that the proceedings continue with hearings slated for May 23, 2025. In his reaction, Chipembere says they will have to start the ruling and advise Gangata accordingly.
Well, after the ruling, you notice that we asked for the written ruling that we'd like to see it. So we've been told that we'll access that tomorrow. So wait and properly analyze it and chart the way forward. So at the moment, we have heard, we still have to go back to our offices and make a decision how to proceed.
Lawyer representing the Malawi Revenue Authority, which is the prosecuting agency in the matter, Watson Chirwa, said their side was ready to proceed with the parading of witnesses before the court adjournment. Gangata was arrested on 9th January 2025 and pleaded not guilty on 13th March to falsifying records, forgery, uttering false documents, and completing business transactions without taxpayer certificate charges. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
NGO Gender Coordination Network says journalists play a vital role in promoting women aspirants in politics. One of the leaders at NGO Gender Coordination Network, Unandi Banda, said this on Tuesday, the 15th of April 2025, on the sidelines of a one-day training that the organization held in Balaka. The training aimed at sharpening journalists on their role in promoting gender equality during elections. Andrew Nandolo has filed a report read in our studios by Jean Galande Bernard.
Unandi Banda said, as we approach to September 16, journalists need to be taken aboard in sensitizing them on the need to promote women aspirants in politics. He emphasized the need for mindset change towards women, saying for many years, women have been sidelined in various positions, including political positions.
It is the duty of the fourth estate, the media, to be with us. We cannot run this program alone without the media. We need the media to join hands with us and move this agenda about women in this country. So this training was planned to enable you, the journalists, to know exactly what is in the program and to brief you so that you should be with us, you should travel with us all the way through 16 September 2025. That was the core crust of the program.
In her remarks, Florence Chilanga Zamimba, a correspondent journalist for Liranguka Community Radio based in Imangochi, thanked NGO Gender Coordination Network for the timely training, saying it's time women should be given chance to compete in different positions. She said Liranguka Community Radio has programs that promote women to lead and achieve their goals.
Issues of gender are so sensitive, we all know about that. So for the NGO Gender Coordination Network to come here and impart some of the skills and of course some important information to us as journalists is a crucial thing because we are going towards elections coming the September 16, 2025. So we all have to be prepared and ready to support the women that are aspiring or that are contesting in different areas in Baraga as well as in the country. So for us to do that, we really needed this kind of skills or this kind of information that they have imparted to us because they have asked us to report fairly, to report in a unique way about a female aspirant. So for me personally as a reporter, I have benefited, but I'm also grateful to them because this is a milestone.
NGO Gender Coordination Network is implementing a one-year project with support from UN Women through National Electoral Support Project under the Basket Fund supported by EU, ICDO, Government of the United Kingdom, Irish Embassy, and the Royal Norwegian Embassy.
Government, through the Ministry of Natural Resources, has called for collective responsibility towards protection of the environment for the realization of a bamba harvest. The development comes as the Ministry has closed the 2024-2025 National Forestry season with over 50 million trees planted and 9,640.6 hectares of natural regeneration in different districts across the country. Rosemary Chigawanda has filed this report.
The core objective of the National Forestry Season is to raise awareness about the importance of trees and forests, while promoting a culture of environmental stewardship, tree growing, and responsible land use in the country. Minister of Natural Resources and Climate Change, Dr. Owen Chomainika, said the most important thing we need to do is to sustain the planted trees, and the ministry has put an environmental management strategy that will improve the survival rate of the trees.
You will observe that even this day we are commemorating forestry, but agriculture is here. And we want to use even the extension workers that are there on the ground to make sure that they also facilitate and help. We are part of the system. That's why even ourselves as a ministry, we have gone closer to agriculture, because we know agriculture officers are all over. They need also to help us. Forest officers are all over. They need also to work together with agriculture officers, because the key target is let's preserve the forests so that at least agricultural productivity is enhanced. So we are looking much on food security. How can we be food secure unless we produce more? How can we produce more unless we have a productive land that is not eroded? And how can we prevent erosion? It's by having proper forest cover. And that's why we are here, and we'll ensure that the 50 million we have, at least the survival rate should be big enough, failure rate should be low.
One of the country's environmental activists, Matthews Malata, said the 2024 to 2025 season has done well, but there is still more to be done. According to Malata, people need to continue planting trees, and we need to bring in new interventions on how we can keep track of these planted trees. He added that Malawi is part of the Born Challenge that requires the country to rehabilitate 4.5 million hectares of degraded land, and with the 50 million of trees planted, it is a good start.
No, so basically, we're hearing 15 million as the figure that we have managed to achieve in terms of tree planting. The figure sounds good. This is not new, we have been there before. But what we have always said is let's also put some efforts in asking people, especially those that took part in planting these trees, to go back to those trees after some weeks or months so that they can survive. Planting is one thing, but also nurturing the trees that we have planted is actually more critical than just planting. And this is like an investment. Already you know that last year the survival rate was around maybe 60-50%, which is still on the lower side. So we can celebrate 50 million trees planted, but if we lose half of them, these are like billions that we are losing each and every year. So it doesn't make sense at all. So what we may request the department is to put in place mechanisms that could really help track trees which have been planted, and information should be in the public domain, but also work with those that have planted these trees in terms of how best they can look after these trees.
Malawians have been urged to participate in forest conservation and management activities within their respective areas. For Luntha News, this is Rosemary Chikaonda.
Well, you are still watching news on Luntha Television, coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. But before we proceed, let's have a recap of our top stories. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, reminds the faithful of God's boundless mercy. Archbishop urges Catholics to vote wisely in 2025 tripartite elections. Magistrate Court dismisses Gangada's preliminary objections in the Malawi Revenue Authority document forgery case. And in news from elsewhere, Sudan paramilitary declares a rival government 2 years into civil war. Moving on, human rights activists have expressed worry over the increase in murder cases in the country. This comes as the Malawi Police Service has registered 218 murder cases in the first quarter of 2025 from 212 cases recorded during the same period last year. The rise in the cases is said to be fueled by mob justice and land disputes, among other causes. Gift Kalonga has filed this report.
The report shows that there are 218 murder cases compared to last year's, which was 212 cases. This means there is an increase of the murder cases. Mob justice cases are on the top, seconded by land disputes cases. Deputy Police spokesperson Helena Mwaza, confirming the development, has asked the general public to refrain from taking the law into their hands and has warned the motorists to use the safety tips given by the police.
The statistical record in terms of murder cases we have released is about the first 3 months, that's the first quarter of the year. So far we have registered 218 murder cases for 3 months. So if we compare with the last year, we recorded 212, and in 2023 we recorded 220. So you can see that in 2023 they were on the higher side, and in 2024 we reduced them. But the first quarter now of this year, they have been on the increase also. So in terms of the contributing factors, we realize that the issue of mob justice is one of the major factors which is also contributing to the increase of murder cases in the country.
For Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, Michael Kayatsa says that Malawians lost their trust in the Malawi police and courts, which makes people to take the laws into their hands.
First of all, those statistics are very depressing. They paint a picture that we are a country that is fast losing the value or the sanctity of human life, which is quite sad because human life is valuable. Our constitution has a whole section 16 which is aimed at protecting the right to life, and the constitution is clear that nobody has the right to take the life of another. So what is happening is actually really worrisome. I think as a country we need to interrogate why this is the case. Why is it that murder cases continue to rise each and every year, despite the interventions that the state and non-state actors have been implementing?
Security analyst Aubrey Kabisala calls for the fight against the increased mob justice murder cases in the country. He also asks the citizens to reflect on their actions towards the situation and says the fight is for everyone, not only the police and the court.
Something which calls for almost each and every Malawian to take some time to reflect on what as a society we are presenting, or the kind of society that we are building. It's not an issue that we can just point to a single sector, but it's something which as a society as a whole we need to reflect. For instance, issues of mob justice. This is an issue that keeps on recurring in our society. Despite all the calls that we have the laws, we have the institutions that would handle the complaints.
The Malawi police has been producing reports on murder cases in order to update the nation on the security situation in the country. The current report contains the cases of the first quarter of the year from the month of January to April this year. For Luntha Television, this is Gift Kalonga.
Now in sports commentator Christopher Njeula has commended the Football Association of Malawi for taking decisive action in response to allegations of sexual misconduct involving the Malawi women's national team, claims that came to light following the team's recent international engagement. In a formal statement, FAM has reassured the public and stakeholders of its dedication to upholding its safeguarding policies, assuring that it is determined to address these allegations with the gravity they deserve and to provide a safe environment for all members. Njeula has since expressed hope that FAM will do a thorough job and also keep the identity of wrongdoers under wraps. Judith Friday Organ and Patrick Pupa caught up with Christopher Njeula.
First and foremost, perhaps it's not good news that our football should be hovering around such issues. But then, because football involves human beings, such cases might not be inevitable. Maybe we commend the Football Association of Malawi for taking a lead. Maybe after hearing the news from other blogs, especially from a Zambian blog that exposed the incident of sexual harassment within the Scotia's camp while they were away in South Africa. We hope that they are going to do a thorough job, especially considering that such issues very critical, especially when the victims are actually coming forward to explain their side of the story. It's necessary that they keep maybe the identities of the wrongdoer under wraps as of now, because the matter is still under preliminary investigation. So I'm sure that the Football Association through its channels will actually make proper revelations when they are done with their investigations and according to their sexual harassment policies.
Now in news from elsewhere, Sudanese paramilitary rapid support forces has announced the formation of a rival government 2 years since the country descended into a brutal war that has left tens of thousands dead and triggered what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The RSF, led by its President Mohammed, declared on Tuesday the establishment of the Government of Peace and Unity in areas under its control. The move directly challenges the army-led administration headed by General Abdel Fattah. We have the details.
The RSF and its allies had already signed a charter in Nairobi in February, laying out their intention to form an alternative authority. Dagalo said they had now endorsed a transitional constitution, which he described as a roadmap for a new Sudan. The document proposes a 15-member presidential council representing all regions of the country. Experts have long warned that the protracted conflict risks permanently fracturing Sudan. Sharath Sizfsan, a Sudanese specialist at the University of Cambridge, told the AFP news agency that the RSF's entrenchment in Darfur could result in de facto separation. Since war erupted on 15th April 2023, nearly 13 million people have been displaced with no political solution in sight. The fighting began after months of tension between Sudan's military and the RSF, once close allies who jointly led the 2021 coup that derailed a civilian-led transition. As the RSF seeks to consolidate control in Western Sudan, the paramilitary and its allied militias are facing renewed international scrutiny over their conduct in the war. The United States on Tuesday criticized the RSF for attacking civilians in and around the Zamzam and Abu Shuk camps, home to hundreds of thousands of displaced people in the North Darfur region in recent days. The UN said at least 300 civilians were killed in the RSF attacks on the camps on Friday and Saturday.
And that also wraps up our today's news bulletin. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, reminds the faithful of God's boundless mercy. Archbishop urges Catholics to vote wisely in 2025 tripartite elections. Magistrate Court dismisses Gangada's preliminary objections in the Malawi Revenue Authority document forgery case. And in news from elsewhere, Sudan paramilitary declares a rival government 2 years into civil war. My name is Helbert Katanda. Thanks for watching, and it's goodbye for now.